Hello and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can implement SCD type 2 um, using very simple approach. Okay, and the other thing is if you are working on Google Cloud, I will show you how you can use Google Cloud workflow to orchestrate your jobs. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to show you these two things. Okay, so even if you are not working with Google Cloud, you can watch this video so that you can implement SCD type 2. Okay, so first let me show you how I'm going to implement SCD type 2. So if you don't know about SCD type 2, so it's a concept in data warehouse. SCD type 1 2 3, and in SCD type 2 we are maintaining the history of changes for a particular record. Okay, so when the record was first inserted and whatever things has changed till now, we maintain all the history for a particular record. So let me go let me show you how I have implemented the SCD type 2, and then you will come to know that what I'm talking, what is that maintaining of history. Okay, so I'm using Bigquery as a data warehouse. Okay, and I have a source table, and that source table is partitioned on DW date column. So this is the date column, and that so it represents when on which date the record was inserted, and the DW ingest timestamp is the timestamp at which the record was inserted. And every day, so this database is incremental, so every day we have some new records coming up for that particular day. Okay, so to implement the SCD type 2, I have created a view. So this view picks the latest partition from the BigQuery table. The other thing it does is, if you see here for ID number 1, we have two records for same date. On 28, we have two records for ID 1, but we want to keep the latest. So that's why this view will take the latest based on the DW date, and if there is more than one record, it will pick the latest based on the DW ingest timestamp. So in this case, the second record, this record, if you see in the DW ingest timestamp, has greater here it is 6 6 15 52, and here it is 6 10 52. So based on this DW ingest timestamp, this is the latest record. The second record for ID1 is the latest. So view will does this thing also. And the third thing the view will do is compute the hash of the columns which we want to track. Okay, so suppose I want to track, suppose the client says that I want to track only the address and phone number, I don't want to track the name. Okay, because see, ID and name, there is very less chance that someone changes their name. Okay, but address and phone number may get changed. Okay, so client says that I want to track down address and phone number only as a part of SCD type 2. I want to implement SCD type 2 on this address and phone number column. So what this view will do, it will compute the hash of this address and phone number combined. So it will combine this address and phone number, it will concat these two things. Okay, the value of these two columns, and it will compute the hash of these columns. Okay, so after we run this view, okay, I will show you this view afterwards. Let me explain these things first. So after we query the view, okay, so that view will give us this data. So here this one will be removed because this is not the latest for ID1. So this will give us this. And again, after we combine this address and phone number, suppose we get hash of, suppose h1, h2, h3, h4, h5. Okay, so this is the this is the record we will get after view, after the view has been applied on this source table. Okay, then what will happen is, there are three steps involved in this SCD type 2. Okay, first is three cases are there. So the first case is, so in this source table and this target table, the ID is our primary key. Okay, so the first case is when this ID is present in the source side but not on the target side. Okay, so the first case is when the ID is present in the source but not present in the target. So what we have to do is, we can directly insert these records, okay, in the target table. If the ID is in the source but not in the target, we can directly insert that record in the target table because that record is new. Okay, new in the source, we are seeing it for the first time, so that's why we can insert this record directly. And for start date, it will be start date on which the process is running. So suppose, so the start date is the date from this DW date column. Okay, because in the source, these records came on 28th. Okay, that's why the start date will be 28th, end date will be null. I will explain why, what is significance of this end date and is active flag. Let me first mark it as yes. So is active means these records are active now. Okay, now suppose this is for 28. Now suppose again we have data on 29th. Okay, suppose we have data on 29th, and again we are running this SCD type 2 pipeline. Okay, so now what this view will do, this view will pick the latest partition. So in this case it will pick the data for 29th and latest based on the DW ingest timestamp if there is duplicate records on the same date. So if you see here, no duplicates are present in the 29th partition. So this view will take this will be the data when we will query the view. Okay, so if you see here, this 6 is new. This 6 is not present in the target. We are seeing it for the first time. So if I compute the hash of the this, suppose the hash is h6. Okay, and now if you see here, so hash, how we are calculating, we are combining these two columns and then we are calculating the hash. So if you see here, this id is present in the target table, means this id is not new, this is already present in the target table. But if you see here, the address has changed. For id number 4, the address has changed from dd to dd changed. That means when we'll compute the hash will also change. Okay, so suppose I am writing h7 as the new hash. So now the second case is, so let's apply the first case where when there is id not present in the target table, we are seeing it for the first time. So the 6 is not present in the target table, we are seeing it for the first time. So let's just copy this, paste it over here directly. Start date will be 29th, this will be null, and this is active flag is yes. Now the second case is when the id is present in the target table. So if you see here for 4, id is present in the target table, but hash is different. If you see here for id number 4, the hash is different. So for the 29th partition, the hash is h7, but the hash which is already present in the target table is h4. That means something has changed for the 29 partition. Okay, and if you see, address has changed. Okay, so what is the second case is when the id is present and the hash is changed. So what is the second thing we have to do is we have to first update the target table, update the record in the target table. So for here, the 4, we will mark this end date as 29th. Okay, so for this end date will be 29. Okay, and is active flag will be no. What does that mean is this record was active, this record was inserted in the target table on 28, and it was active till 29th, because for 29th we already have a new uh, we already have a record where the address has changed. Okay, so that means this record is not active now because there is a record with id same id 4, but its hash has changed. That means we need to invalidate this record. Okay, so that is mean by this end date. This record was active from 28 till 29, now it is not active. So this is the second step. The third step is we need to insert this new record. Okay, so we need to insert this record here, and the start date will be 29th and end date will be null, and the is active flag will be yes. So now if you see, I was talking about the maintaining of history. If you see here, the fourth id number 4, let's take it here. If you see the id number 4 and someone asks you, give me the history of id number 4, so you can say that id number 4 was first seen on 28. It was yes. So here this is the start and end date. So you can say that the id number 4 was first seen on 28, it was active till 29, now it is not active because we have some another other record for id 4 where the address has changed. Okay, and that start date was 29th and it is currently active, that's why the end date is null. So this is the concept of SCD type 2. So this was about the SCD type 2. Now let me first show you the view. So this is the view which I was talking about. So it will it will concat this phone number and address because we want to track down the history of these two columns only. So that's why it's concatenating these two columns and then computing the hash. And again, it's here, if you see, it's selecting the max of DW partitions. that means latest partition, and I'm taking the row number over partition by id. Okay, so I want partition by id, and I am ordering by dw ingest timestamp descending, because I want to take the latest based on the partition and based on the dw ingest timestamp if we have um, two ids on the same date. So that's why I'm taking dw ingest timestamp descending, because I want the latest. Okay, so this is the view. So and the three cases which I was talking about, so I have I'll show you that SQL for that three cases also. So these are the three sequels for that three steps I was talking about. So yeah, ignore this begin and end, because I have implemented I'm going to call this three sequels in that cloud workflow. So that's why I have created stored procedure of this sequence. So just ignore this begin and end. Let's focus on this thing. Okay. So this is the case where we are seeing the record for the first time. Okay. That means the ID is not present in the target table and it's present in source. So what we are doing, we are directly inserting that record into the target table. So this is my target table, output dataset dot employee changes. Okay, and here if you see I'm selecting from the view, because I want to compute the hash also, so that's why I'm selecting from the view, and view is picking from the latest partition only. Okay, so what here I'm doing is, just if you see here, I'm selecting id from the target table here. Okay, select id from the, and here I'm doing select star and then current date as start date, null as end date, cast y as string as is active from, okay, the source um, view, okay, where id not present in the target table. So it will give me all the ids which are not present in the target table. So for the first time target table is blank. That means if you have id, if you are getting id 1 2 3 from this view, okay, so this id will return nothing, because for the first time target table is empty. So we'll get all these records in this select statement, and all this record will be inserted in the target table. Okay, so this is the um, first step. This is the case when we are seeing the record for the first time or the table is empty. So we are loading table for the first time, so this is the case. Second step is when the id is present in the target table but hash is changed. Okay, that means we need to first invalidate the existing record. We have to mark uh, is active flag as no. Okay, so this is that case. So what here I'm doing is, if you see here, I'm updating the target table. So employee changes is my target table. I'm setting end date to current date. Is active flag I'm marking it as false. Okay, where cid in, where cid in, what is c is, so if you see this join, first see this join. Okay, if you see this join, I am selecting all the ids from the source, okay, which are in the target but hash is not matching. Okay, and the active flag is yes. If you see in this for this example, if you see why I want only active flag, because if you see, if suppose on the 30th, suppose on the 30, I have one more record for 4. Okay, and if I'm and suppose this phone number has changed from 444 to 4445, again this hash will change. Suppose hash is h8. Okay, so now if I'll join this 4 on this target table, I'll get two records. Okay, I will get this record also and this record also, but I don't care about this in this not active not active record. I just want this active records also. That's why I'm joining on the target table ID and the is active flag equal to yes. So this is the same thing I'm doing here. So I'm joining on the target table and the view, and I just want the is active flag. I'm just interested in the active flag. Okay, so that means um, I will get all the records where the id is present in the target table but hash is changed. And here what I'm doing is I'm picking that id and marking, setting its end date as current date, because I need to invalidate the records in the target table, because we have seen a new record in the source whose address column has changed or phone number has changed. That means the hash has changed. Okay, so that's why we are picking that record id. Okay, and then setting its end date to current date, is active flag to false in the target table. We are updating the target. Now this is the third step where we have invalidated the target record. Okay, now we want to insert the new record, which we have seen now in the latest partition whose hash has changed. Okay, so what we will do is we will insert these records into the target table. Okay, so how we will get that new record, which is the new record? So in the same way I have used this join. So join from the source view and the target table on a.id, okay, is equal to b.id. So in our example, in source 4 was there and 4 was present in the target table and hash was changed. So this, suppose this returns 4, okay, and we are taking this. Now we know that the id number 4, so we know that id number 4 has changed. Okay, we now want to insert. So how we will insert from the source? Okay, so if you see here, I have alias, given alias to the source as a, so I'm taking all the values from the a, not from the target table. That means we will have the new values for this id number 4. So in this case, if you see here example, this is my this, suppose I have given alias as b, and this view is, this view I have given alias as a, alias as a. Okay, now suppose I found that, okay, after joining this source and this target, 4 is present in the source and 4 is present in the target, and hash has changed. That means we need to insert this 4, id number 4 in the target. But how I will get values from the 4, values of 4? I have given alias to the view as a, so I'll pick all the values from alias. So a.id, then a.address, and a.phone number. Same thing I have done here. If you see here, select a.id, a.name, a.address, a.phone number, and dw ingest timestamp, hash also, then current date I'm setting as start date, null as end date, and y as string, as y as is active. Why I'm taking this y as string? Because I want this is active flag to be string. It's not necessary, but I want this as to be string. But when I'm putting this y without casting, it's taking as boolean. So that's why I'm taking as I'm casting it as string. You can keep it as boolean also, no problem, but I want it to be as a string. Okay, that's why I have casted it. Otherwise you can write y as is active. So this is the third case. So it's not very difficult to understand. I'll put this sequels in description box, okay, and you can go through it, and you can create a small table and practice this to see how it's working. It's a very simple SQL statement. So this is the things I have used to implement the SCD type 2. Now the thing is, I'm going to explain you about the Google Cloud workflow. So if anyone works with a Google Cloud workflow, so this is this can be very useful. The things which I'm going to explain is can be very helpful. And if someone is not working on Google Cloud, then they can skip to the next thing where I'm going to show the demo of this SCD type 2. I'll put the timestamp, and you can go directly to that part. So those of you who are working on Google Cloud, okay, so it's not necessary to directly go for, so whenever you talk about the orchestration and scheduling part, it's not necessary to directly go for Airflow. Okay, so because Google Cloud has a service called Google Cloud Workflow, and so it's a serverless. Google Cloud is serverless. You don't need to pay upfront cost for this Google Cloud Workflow. In Airflow, we need to pay upfront cost to set up the servers and environment, and it's very costly. Airflow is very costly on Google Cloud Composer. Okay, and if you run something or not, then also you need to pay cost for Airflow. But in Google Cloud Workflow, you will be only charged when your cloud flow when your workflow runs. And even in that, suppose there are 10 steps defined in Google Cloud Workflow, and suppose 5 only runs, then you will charge for that 5 steps only, not for the all 10 steps. So it's very cheap, and so there is one article, I will give its link in the description. So in this they have mentioned when the differences between the three things, like event scheduler, Google Cloud Workflow, and uh, Airflow. So when you need to use each of these things. So Airflow, so event scheduler you can use when you want to interact with the Google Cloud services, and just you want to interact with only one service. Um, so event scheduler, like triggering a cloud function. So it's just triggering the simple one cloud function. Google Cloud Workflow you can use to interact with any services in the Google Cloud. Okay, so you can interact with GCS bucket, cloud functions, BigQuery, and all these things. Okay, Airflow is you can use when you want more control on your the operators. You can define your operators, custom hooks. You can define. You can interact with the external system. Okay, so you can use Airflow for these things. So you can go through that article, you will come to know. The other thing which is necessary for Google Cloud Workflow is the YAML. So all the things in the Google Cloud Flow is written in the YAML language. So you need to have understanding of indentation, how much in how we define the parent-child relationship in the YAML file. So it's a very strict language. It's a very strict about indentation. So just go through a YAML videos. And other thing is, whenever you want to interact with any service in Google Cloud Workflow, you need to interact using the API of this API provided by the that particular service. You cannot write Python functions how we write in the Airflow and call it using Python operator. We can't do that. We need to interact using the APIs only. So let me go to the cloud workflow and create a workflow to trigger these three three stored procedures one by one. So here I am on my Google Cloud Workflow. I'm going to name it as Google Cloud Workflow 4. Region I'm keeping it as same service account, and I'm not going to add any trigger. Although you can add a cloud scheduler so that it will run at the particular time, or event ARC so that something happens in some changes happens to any system. Okay, like a new record is inserted on BigQuery table or a message is published on PubSub, so that on that event you can trigger this workflow. So I'm not going to do that now because I'm going to manually trigger this. I'm going to create click on next. Okay, and this is the sample workflow they have given. I'm going to delete it and let me paste my workflow. So this is the workflow which I have written. Okay, so I have written these things in the different editor, so that I can I don't have a hard time putting all the indentation right. So if you see here all the indentation, so, so if you see here, this run query one is the step number one. This is the case when we want to insert the new records. So you can see here I'm calling the API because I want to run the query. Here if you see here I want to run this query. Here what I'm going to do here, I have created as I told you, I have created the store procedure for each of these cases. Okay, so if you see here in the left side, the store procedure name is insert new, then insert updated, and the update existing. So these are the three sequels for that for these three stored procedures. Okay, so that three store procedures I am calling over here. Okay, so this is the query to call the stored procedure in the BigQuery. So that's why I'm going to this I'm using this API. So this API is used to submit a query to BigQuery, and in argument I'm passing the project ID and the body. So in body I am using that use legacy SQL false, query cache false, and timeout 30,000 millisecond. Okay, same way I'm running for the case 2 where the ID is present and the hash has changed. So we need to invalidate the current record which is in the target. So this is the query for that, and this is the query for third step. Okay, so here you see I have created the stored procedure for each of that, and that's why I'm using calling that stored procedure using this thing. So as I told you, everything in the cloud workflow is called using this API only. Okay, so I'm using this API, and let me deploy this thing. So workflow has now been deployed. Okay, this is not executed yet. So I'll be putting more examples of Google Cloud Workflow in the future. For this video, it's just in the all the steps I'm calling just a stored procedure. So in the next in the future, I'll come up with some more examples where I will show you how to assign variables, how to call case statement and if else statement. Okay, but for this video, I just wanted to show that whenever it's about scheduling and orchestrating Airflow, we don't just go for Airflow directly, just give a thought about cloud workflow also. Okay, so now if you see here in my, so this is my source table. Okay, employee raw. If you see here, I have 6 records where there are two. This is for 28th partition. I have 2 records for ID1. Okay, and now let me query the target table. Okay, so target table data set name is output data set, output underscore data set, and the table name is employee changes. So if you see here, the target table is empty now, nothing is there. So let me run this cloud workflow now. Okay, So is if there is any arguments, we can give it over here. So no arguments required. Execute logs. You see here and green. So all the steps has been executed. Let me go to the target table now. Let me query it. So if you see here in the my source there was 6 records, but in the target I have only 5 because the record number this ID number 1 was duplicated in the source. We had 2 records, but yeah, we want only the latest one, so that's why 1 record is dropped. That's why we have 2 records and all the records are active. The start date is 2 because I'm running this process on 2nd October. So that's why it's saying that start date is from 2nd. Actually it should be not the it depends on the use case, what client needs. So I am running it on the 2nd October. So in my target table this record was is inserted on 2nd. That's why I'm saying that okay, my start date is 2nd book because my in my target table the record was inserted on the 2nd. You can keep it as 28 also because in the source side you this record came on 28, so you can keep it as 28 also. It's not a problem. Okay, so now this is the first case. Okay, so in my source side, let me go to the source. Okay, and let me insert 2 more records here. So these 3 records I'm inserting now in the source table for 29th partition. So if you see here for ID number 4, which is already present in the target table. Okay, and again we have a new record for ID number 4 on 29th, but address has changed. This is a one scenario. The second scenario is that ID number 2 is present in the target. Again we have the record for ID number 2, but nothing has changed from past. Okay, so for 2 previously the name was B, the address was BB, phone number was 22. Okay, so nothing has changed for B for record number 2 except the partition date and index timestamp. And for ID number 4, it is for the first time we are seeing this record in the source. Okay, so let me insert these 3 records now. Okay, let me give semicolons. Okay, so 3 records have been inserted. Uh, let me query the view because view will give the latest information. The view name is B underscore. If you see now, we have the 3 records which I have inserted for the 29th partition. In the target side also, I need to change this start date to I need to first I need to change the start date because if I run this process again, the end date will come as 2 only. So you will get confused what's happening. Okay, so let me update the target table's start date. Let me update to 2024-09-30. So I'm updating it to 30th September. So all the rows has been modified. Uh, all the start date for all the records in the target table has been changed to 30 September. Okay, let me verify that. If you see here now, the start date has changed to 30 September. Now let me run the workflow again. Okay, all are green. That means all ran. And let me query the target table now. Let me order it by DW date. Order by DW underscore date. So if you see here for these 2 records, let me copy it to a worksheet. So if you see here, these 2 records are the new ones which I inserted on 29th. Okay, these 2 records which I inserted. Actually, I inserted 3 records. Okay, I'll show you why it's only 2 records. Okay, so if you see here, this record number 8, it was not present in the target table. It was new in the source. That's why it's got inserted, and the start date is 2 because I'm running this on 2nd of October. That's why the start date is current date. You can keep start date from the source side, and the is active flag is yes, and it is null. If you see here for 4th, okay, for 4th, for 4 we have two records. We have this record also. If I copy these things from here to here, and now if you see here, we have two records for 4. This was the records, this was the record which was present already. Okay, so now if you see here, this active flag here we have false, because this record is not active now, because we have already a new record from the 29th partition where the address has changed from dd to dd changed. Okay, that's why the hash, if you see, hash has changed. Previously the hash was this bpjo, but now this has changed. So that means something has changed in the source, in the new record. So that's why we need to invalidate the current active record in the target. So that's what we have done here. So this record was active from 30 September to 2nd of October, and now it is not active. That's why we have false in this active flag, active column, and this is the current record which is active. So this record is started from 2nd of October. It's active. That's why and it is not null. And I had inserted three records in the 29th partition, but we have only two records in the 29. If you see here, 29 partition, we have only two, these two. Where is the third record which I inserted? So I had inserted these three records. I had inserted these three records. 4 is there, okay, 8 is there. Where is 2? 2 is not there because the data for 2 was not changed in the source in the 29 partition. Okay, this, if you see here the record, so for 2 previously, if you see here in the sheet, for record id, for id number 2, the name was b, address was bb, and phone number was 22. Okay, and if you see here, what I inserted on 29th is, for record number 2, id number 2, name is b, address is bb, and this is phone number is 22. Only change is in the target dw date and the ingest timestamp. So if you compare this, if you see this, when you will perform step number 2 and step number 3, this id will match in the source as well as in the target, but hash is not change, hash will not change, because in the target table it's already b and bb. Nothing has changed in address and phone number. Nothing has changed. That means the hash will not change, and if hash will not change, no need to insert or update the existing thing. That's why this, you are not seeing this record id number 2, the latest, in the latest partition. Okay, so the aim was, aim of this video was to show you how you can implement SCD type 2 using the SQL approach only, and you can, how you can um, use Google Cloud Workflow to orchestrate and schedule your jobs. Don't directly go for Airflow. Just give a thought about Google Cloud Workflow also. Okay, so that's all for this video. If you found this video helpful, please like this video, and for more such data engineering use cases and SQL questions, you can subscribe to my channel. And until next time, bye.